Bladen at that time had been an active artist for several decades, but where the minimalists are largely devoid of any feeling or content or suggestion or gesture, Bladen's work nonetheless often has an underlying feeling, a sense of gesture, a sense of movement, a sense of place, a sense of direction.
We wanted to do something that took art into the community and public art, which you only saw in museums. You didn't see sculpture in the community at all. So this was sort of a signature piece that we wanted to do that sort of showed collaboration in the community, but also brought the arts into the community for the whole community to enjoy rather than a few people who went to a museum.
The League raised $50,000 that was matched by the National Endowment of the Arts. They suggested 3 artists, and when the Sarah piece was dismissed as not a fit for Peoria, then Ronald Bladen's name was also in the mix of the 3 suggestions. The chairperson at that time, Alice Wanger, hosted him, and immediately when he came and saw the beautiful Illinois River and the valley in an industrial setting, he was inspired.
He was very attracted to our history, being attached to industry, the river, and knowing that we would have a civic center built by the famous Philip Johnson. These were the 3 things that concerned him.
I think what's important about this piece here in Peoria is that when Philip Johnson and Associates designed the Civic Center, they were very mindful of the creation of a void next to the very stately City Hall, and the contrast that would exist between the 2 structures. And here is an instance where an architect, one of the most important architects of the 20th century, conceived the design of the Civic Center, left this space, and we have an artist of consequence come to Peoria, imagine what to do in it, and does it. And those things just don't happen much.
Minimalists are reductivists. They kind of distill form down to its most minimal essence. The interesting thing about Ronald Bladen, though, he is doing that. These are very simplistic kind of forms overall, but there is a dynamism in this piece. There's an animation, there's an energy to this piece, which is not reductivist at all.
It has a wave-like dimension to it, which I think combines to sort of the almost fluid dynamics of the side of the building as it sort of wraps around and frames the old City Hall.
The interesting thing is when Bladen was investigating our city, he really noted these parabolic kind of arcs in our river line, our shoreline. It's been noted that there was also some interesting studies on fish migration at the time, and so they were doing sonar studies of the river. One could probably interpolate that he added the 2 up in some way. The important thing about that story is to understand how much information he was trying to acquire about our city before he saw this vision through. At the time, they were fond of saying, designed for Peoria, built in Peoria.
That tilt was a signature piece and extremely hard to do, but it was fabricated after he met with Daniel Van Buskirk, and Dan considered his work at the Van Buskirk Company over on Washington as his most important thing he did in his career.
The whole purpose was, I think, twofold for the League. One was to collaborate with the community and show the leadership and so forth. And secondly was to get public art as something that the community understood and would embrace. But stop and think about what sculpture is like in Peoria now. You have all your downtown sculpture. You have the sculpture at Peoria Riverfront Museum. You've got sculpture in the Heights now.
I really want our visitors, and I really want Peoria, and I really want the nation to understand that our work is an exceptional artwork. It's not just a piece of decoration. It's his last major commission. We could see this work as the culmination of all the prior commissions in terms of the knowledge that he gained and how he was looking at sculpture and sensing physical interaction with it.
I love not just the name, but the whole piece. It just makes me feel good.
It's now a part of our history. I knew that it was going to be a great hit when we saw it on the telephone book the next year, that it really was becoming a symbol of optimism for Peoria and for what we had in mind for this community that we love.